And we're gonna try that set again. Hopefully, second set, it feels a little bit better. You know, so like things are just a tiny bit more mobile as you're doing it. All right, so our next round through, you might be able to get a little bit farther into some of these positions because things have stretched out a little bit. And that's one of the benefits of stretching. One reason why you probably should do something like this, even if it's just one round through of this. If it was like a daily thing or something, you know, you do one round through on this, you know, in the mornings, it would prepare you well for the day, for moving well for the day. All right, we do wake up stiff and tight, and we need to do something, otherwise we just stay stiff and tight a lot of the day until we really get moving. And if you never really get moving, well, then you stay tight all day and you're gonna get tighter again for the next day. All right, let's try it out. All right, set number 2, overhead squat. So we've got squatting down, reach the arms up, sinking down in here. All right, so reaching up with the arms and back with the arms. Oh, that's a killer right there. Whew. Sinking down in here, hips are feeling tightness in there, but make sure you're not bending your back as you try to sink lower. All right, so that lower back, that tailbone is still sticking out behind you well. Oh, straighten the arms. Reaching. These are what I'm telling myself to do, so hopefully you do it too. Knees are out, chest is out, weights on the heels, reaching arms straighter, reaching back more, sinking down lower, stick the butt out more, butt out, arms reaching, extending through the body. All right, come on up. Whew. All right, down dog. Maybe I'll try a different angle this time here too. All right, so right in here. All right, so you like start off like a push-up. Drop those heels in. Don't have your feet too far apart. All right, drop those heels in, stick that tailbone up, pull away from that, and then straighten your knees out a little bit. Maybe all the way if you're pretty flexible. Whew. But you're trying to get some shoulder stretch here. Make sure your back is very straight while doing this. All right, so that's about sticking your tailbone up in the air. It's like if somebody gave you like an atomic wedgie and hung you up in your locker or something. You know, it's like the tailbone sticking way up there. Bobby just laughed because it probably happened to him. All the time, no? All right, so we're really working in there. He probably did it to somebody else, meanie. All right. All right, lift that tailbone up, stretching. All right, good. All right. So now we got the back high leg raise. All right, so we're standing on one foot, lift the other leg up. All these are so valuable. It's so valuable. It's hard to do this right now. But the muscle that's quivering is the one that needs to get stronger. All right. And the other muscle on the other side, usually on the other side of that quivering muscle, is the one that needs the stretch. All right, so if your thigh muscles are quivering here, hamstring needs the stretch. All right, back leg is high. We're pitting the weakness against the tightness. All right, a great way to restore the body. Oh, back leg higher, higher, higher. Good. Switch sides. Oh, that was a good stretch. It's hard. It's hard for me. If it's hard for you, that's fine. I'm having a hard time too. All right, back leg's going high. Straighten the support leg a little bit. Doesn't need to be locked out straight. But you want to straighten it a little bit. On the heel of the foot you're standing on, back leg is high in the air. And you're fighting with it. You're not accepting lower than you could do. You're squeezing up there. All right, really lifting that leg up. And again, I like a pretty good tip over when I'm doing this one. To load that leg I'm standing on hard. That one I feel more than the leg up, but I do feel the leg up as well. All right, a little higher. In about 15 seconds or so. Yeah. Be strong, be strong. Ooh, challenge it, flex into these positions. Use the muscles. Help them get stronger. Help them to stretch. All right, good. Come on down, stand up. Whew. Maybe dizzy. Maybe dizzy. Ooh, got it. Yep, there it is. Usually a couple seconds after I stand up is when it really hits. If you get too dizzy, bend back over. All right, don't be a hero. You don't need to fall asleep while you're standing up. The landing's not good. All right, shoulders down, chest is out. Looking straight ahead. Good strong squeeze here. All right, this is the undoing of the office posture. All right, we're trying to not just have their head forward while we're doing it. We bring the head back, bring the chin in, shoulders down, chest is out. We're trying to extend through the body a bit. All right, flex the upper back while opening up the chest, which is kind of the opposite of what we do much of the day. All right, so really, a lot of these movements are undoing our standard position. All right, hurdle step. Maybe I'll start with the opposite foot this time just to change it up a little bit here. So foot goes out in front here, stepping over the imaginary hurdle, and then back, and stepping back over it. Right in here. Boy, there we go. All right, so you lift as high as you can. So you're trying to keep that foot and knee at about the same height as you come through. All right? Because if you're hurdling, you don't want to hit your foot on the hurdle. It hurts. All right? Now, if the hurdle thing doesn't work for you mentally, you can pretend like you're stepping over an electrified fence. All right? Go, whoo, don't want to get that one. Keep that leg up. You don't have to move fast here. Actually, moving slower is probably better, especially going slow through that middle position. That's where the glutes are doing a lot of work there. All right, other leg. I start with that out, picking it up, sending it back. So this is flexibility through a range of motion too. So we did some isolated, some static motion here, but this is mobility in the hip through a range of motion here. All right? Now, if something's really cranky on you and this isn't working, you keep it down lower. You can start with that. But again, not all workouts are great for all people. You may need something different if you've got a serious hip thing going on right now. All right? Squeezing up, but maybe just a smaller version of this. Find a spot that's not hurting the joint in the body, but is making the muscles quiver, shake, and burn. All right? Oh, yeah. All right, the lunge. All right, maybe I'll change angles this time. Dropping in. All right, so deep in this lunge position. Dropping in here pretty good. Sinking down, so you straighten that back leg a little bit there, all right? Sinking in here. Keep the chest out pretty good. The back is fairly straight. We're really trying to make sure most of the stretch is happening into the hips. All right, the front of that back leg should be stretching a little bit, and the back of the front leg is feeling some of this, all right? So we're sinking down in here. Lean forward a little bit with the body, but again, the back is straight. I'm not tipping, not rounding down there. Reach out in front if you want a little extra challenge. You could have been doing that already if you wanted to. All right, sinking in here. Dropping in strong, straighten the back leg more. On the front heel. As you're doing this, step forward. Woo! All right, other side. All right, sinking in here. Stretching. All right, one of my favorite stretches. A lot of these are actually, I really do appreciate all of these. And honestly, I'm guilty as many people as I could do this work more often than I do it. All right, I would feel a lot better if I did it more. All right, dig that heel in, straighten that back leg more, sinking in here. You can reach the arms out if you'd like to. All right, so the more of this flexibility and mobility work that we do, probably we're going to feel younger. We're going to have fewer injuries. We're going to have less aches and pains. All right, and that just the net effect is you feel younger. All right, you just feel like you can move easier, doing everything. The floor doesn't feel as far away. Sinking down, straighten that back leg, stick that chest out, step forward. Whew. All right, let's do the slow mountain climber with a twist here. All right, bringing knee towards the opposite arm, and then bringing it back. If you can't touch, just bring it in there and pause for a moment. All right, I'm trying to pause when that knee is by the arm, because that's where the most abdominal work is. The obliques firing up really well there. Bit of transverse abdominis too. These are the ones that do a lot of narrowing for our waist here. And protecting us. When we do happen to rotate in real life. We don't want our spine to be left out on its own. All right, a little break. All right, so I'm a little warmer this time than I was last time. All right, I'm gonna sit on my feet for a second. This little stretch is a good one for me too. Now, my wife and daughters do this like it's fun to do, but I don't have that. It's a tight spot for me. So a little plantar flexion there. So while I'm resting, might as well do a little bit of that too. All right. So we got one more round, and hopefully again, if we could take it a little bit further, tire the muscles out a little bit more, stretch the other muscles even more. The more repetitions you do of these things, it multiplies the benefit. It multiplies, it increases the benefit that you're going to get from it. Now it increases like the tiredness, as well, but can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs. All right. So next round here, overhead squat, dropping in here. Arms up, sinking down, knees out, chest is up. Ooh, right in here. Here we go. Now, while you're doing this, you're not thinking about nothing, you're thinking about everything. All right? Every time, like I keep going through the checklist in my mind, are my arms as straight as they can be? Are my thumbs reaching back behind me as much as I can? With the arms straight, get that chest up a little more. Push the butt back more, squeeze the knees out more, and right about then I gotta think about my arms again. All right, you gotta keep working it. You're fighting, it's a battle. It's not just sitting in it. All right, you're reaching, flexing, push the butt back, keep the chest up. Oh, those two things are hard to do at the same time. Arms straighter, arms reaching. Oh, come on up. Oh, yes. All right, down dog here. All right, we're dropping in. All right, drop those heels down, tailbones up. All right, so really stretching in the calves a little bit, but stretching the shoulders. So I pull my hips away from my hands to stretch those shoulders out more. All right, pulling those hips away from the hands. Ooh. That's where a lot of good work's happening there. Mobilizing the shoulder, getting the calves a little more flexible, and some hamstring here too. That back leg raise a little more hamstring, so don't worry if you don't get a ton here. Tailbone sticking up in the air, atomic wedgie kind of thing, right? Remember that thought? Good. All right, so on one foot, I'll turn sideways here. We're going leg up high. All right, so really driving that up. My wish would be that my other leg is straight up above me, but it's not. It's not. All right, tipping here, squeezing, reaching that up. Now, a couple of things may happen on this one. You may be more looser so you can get farther, but you may have tired muscles, so now you're really starting to shake. You're really starting to shake and burn, and it's even more of a fight to get back to the range of motion you already had on your second round there. All right. Finding that challenge in there. If it gets really excruciating, just step out for a moment. All right. We don't need the muscle to absolutely completely give out. All right. No need to fall down here. Ooh. All right. Other side. All right, on the heel of the leg you're standing on, other heel's reaching up into the air. Both legs working on straightening at least somewhat. All right. Oh boy. Yes, the shakiness. Back leg is high. Don't rely on the hands too much. If I start to notice I'm starting to want to lean on them because my poor little butt is tired. But listen, butt, I need you to be stronger. So get to work. Fighting my glute. Here we go. Reach. 8 seconds. A little higher. Reach. Fight with it. All right. Whew. Come on up. T squeeze with hopefully a little bit of dizzy. All right. Whew. Reaching out. Shoulders down. Chest is out. Here we go. All right. Really try to drop those shoulders. It's surprising. It's difficult sometimes to drop them. Sometimes you got to go up in order to figure out what down feels like. Let's try to get that downward squeeze with this opening here. All right. You almost imagine like a clamshell, just opening the clamshell and getting that chest to stretch in there. Shoulders down, flexing the upper back. Pull that chin back a little bit. If you can think about the crown of your head sticking up there, the back of your neck will stretch a little bit more, which needs it. It needs that stretch. It's tight for most of us. Very few people I've met. The very relaxed, loose back of the neck. All right, good. Hurdle step. All right, we're getting there. Halfway through the third round here. All right, just a couple more mobilizing exercises here. All right. Going back here, reaching back. This would be a super awesome once a week exercise too, of course. This would be really good to do. But boy, there's probably about 100 of those. Really good once a week workouts. So you just got to keep working away at it. Just be working out regularly. All right, but work out smart as you're doing it, all right? You know, you need to work on every aspect of that physical health. You know, if you love cardio but you don't like strength training, tough, do strength training. All right? You know, like strength training, don't like cardio, suck it up and do some cardio. All right, other side. And most people, you know, maybe they like one or the other, but boy, they not invest in flexibility. They leave that out like it's the forgotten child or something. All right? That leg going high. The higher it goes, the more it will burn, that's true, but the more it will benefit. Stepping through. Getting that leg up. Try to get that foot high early in that step back and the step forward. Try to leave that foot high as long as you can as you're coming through, and that's going to make sure that hip stretches really well. All right, so some rotational stretching into the hip. We want as much strength and mobility through there as possible. It'll keep the hip happy, but even more than that, the knee. And the lower back. Lower back. You're strong glutes, you probably got a happier lower back. All right, so we got the lunge. All right, final time on this one here. Whew. This one may be the one that really gets you. All right. I have done a lot of work in this split stance position, so a minute is not as hard for me. If you haven't done the same amount of work, a minute may feel like it's really something, all right? All right, so dropping in here, straighten that back leg, and I'm working on this flexibility, mobility. You might be working on some strength, even more than flexibility and mobility. You're fighting away up here, you know, and you're just barely able to hang on to it. Remember that chair? You can use that chair for a little bit of help if you need to, you know, on some of these exercises. All right. You got a chair. I do like if you're going to use the chair, it's off the inside of the foot right in there. All right. Reaching out. Let's finish this sucker. Lean on that front leg, on the heel. Straighten that back leg. Straighten the back. Step forward. If you can really use that front leg to pull up, it's awesome. All right, switch sides, sink in there. Let's not waste time. All right, sinking in here. So many people say they don't have time for exercise, and it's just, that's absolutely not true. It's not true for anybody. All right, you just don't want that time to be used for exercise. All right, but we have time. We have time for it. All right, it's just hard to make yourself do it. That's what's the really hard thing. All right, reaching out there. Nobody's that good with their time. They can't afford to do something that actually saves them tons of time and tons of pain later. All right, dig that heel in, straighten that back leg, sinking down. It's like not saving money. Eventually you're gonna have trouble. All right, you need to put a little extra ability in the bank. Step forward. All right, slow mountain climber with a twist there. Again, you could do this one up on an elevated surface there too. All right, so if your hands are up on the chair, it would make it a little bit easier too. Now he says it. All right, all right, bring that knee, opposite arm there. There we go. Slow, controlled, with a good pause in there. Shifting the weight to the hands. As you're doing that, some more weight does go to your arms as you're coming forward so that way your hips can drop into this. Sweet. We're almost there. Last exercise. All right. We got it. All right. Just pause me for a moment here. We already did our stretches. Just pause me for a second. I got a little thought of the day for you. All right. So it's a little verse. It's 1 Timothy 6:12. Let me see if I can read that sucker. See if you move that out of the way there, Bobby. Fight the good fight of the faith. Take hold of the eternal life to which you were called when you made your good confession in the presence of many witnesses. Fight the good fight of the faith. Take hold of the eternal life. All right? And so, I'm a Christian. That's part of what I'm about. But there's also so much wisdom in this Bible thing. All right? Ancient teachings, all that stuff. And so this is Fight with Your Body Day. So I was like, hey, find a nice verse that has fight in it. All right? So there it is. Fight the good fight. All right? Fight the good fight. All right? And so, fight for what's right. Right? Fight for good positions, in our body, but also good positions for your life. All right? So if we're trying to really think about, the eternal perspective there, my mother-in-law, she's been fighting a good fight with her body, for 4 months. But there's an emotional fight in that. There's a spiritual fight in that, and we have to keep at it. Keep at it. That's an encouragement of Paul to Timothy there. You're just saying, keep fighting for this faith. Keep that sight of eternity, in mind. So if we look at, having a stroke, spending 4 months, in rehab and then still not being where you want to be, there's a battle going on. There's a battle going on. This world is not supposed to be easy. It's not supposed to be perfect. I think, and honestly, if you believe in God, you believe in heaven, you believe in eternity, this is a very short amount of time. It's a snap. Whether you have, 100 years or 2 seconds, it's about the same in light of eternity. I mean, what's a second compared to 10,000 years? What's 100 years compared to 10,000 years? And what about eternity is so much more than that. So it's not so much, that everything works out really well here. If you're really stuck on that, everything's got to work out really well here and be hunky-dory, super happy, this is a super hard place for you then. All right, but if you can go, listen, it's not what happens to me, it's how I persevere through the things that happen to me. Do I hold on to the faith? Do I really believe? Do I believe in something bigger? And am I growing through the things that I face? Am I growing and am I improving? Maybe physically, maybe mentally, but certainly spiritually. Am I growing? As I face these different challenges. So, as you come across those things in life that you go, this isn't fair, this isn't right, just focus on how can you grow through that, all right? And fight that good fight. All right? Sometimes against yourself. All right, have fun. Well, okay, let me say a quick prayer. God, anybody who's listening to this, who's dealing with a big challenge right now, I just ask that they'd feel that presence. They could picture eternity a little bit more. They can yearn for something better, and realize that this world is not fully going to provide that for them. But help them to fight a good fight, to run the race of this life, of this world, in a way that they can hold their head high. Not that everything worked out great or they achieved amazing things, but they held it together while they went through this. And so if somebody's in that, just help hold them together, and persevere. In the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen. Have fun. Be safe. God bless.